Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Fits. Uh, what kind of a fit are we going to be in today? Um, so what did I write? What did I start writing about this morning was I started writing about Trump and Trump as a pattern of a cult. And I'll say a cult is a death, all cults are death cults. So I need to let's dig into this a little bit. But what does a cult look like? We're trying to, I don't know I take showers. Everybody takes a shower now. But if you ever take a bath, fill the bathtub up and it's got, soap floating in it and stuff like that. And you pull the plug. A vortex happens, a drain. The water starts going around like this. And it goes out. Everything is sucked into it. And it gets, eventually the whole tub will drain into that vortex. Or you can see one in a river. Now, in the tub, the vortex sucks everything in the tub down the drain. And the only way to see it is if you're outside of the tub. And if you take a whirlpool in a river, you can see the whirlpool kind of like as a vortex in a river of life, and we're in it. You see, we're in the river of life. So what does it feel like when you're caught in a whirlpool? How do you know you're caught in a whirlpool unless you can stand on the riverbank and see, oh, look, there's a whirlpool. I just hit my thing. You see, so imagine that so we're in the river of life. And when a whirlpool starts, how do you know? Because you're not outside of it. So I bought this. A friend of ours across the street, Jim Hasbrook, is selling, somebody gave him, an exporter friend gave him a bunch of Buddhist Tibetan prayer wheels. Right? Now this is kind of like this is a vortex, but you notice that by spinning it, by making this the center, it creates. And there's a chain, and there's a little ball, and this is you. This is your ego. And this is the center of the cult. Now, this is interesting because as the wheel spins, the centrifugal force pulls it away to escape, but the chain keeps it orbiting around the wheel. So you create this, but if you stop spinning, it goes away, it dies. Everybody goes home, so to speak. But you start spinning again. So you gotta keep spinning. You gotta keep spinning. To keep the cult going, to keep the story going, to keep the political party going, to keep the Trump going. You got to keep spinning. If the spinning stops, oh my God, we're going to die. I'm going to die. It's going to end. Oh no, no, oh. It's gone. It's gone, you see. So I think we can witness this right now. In our media, media is kind of like a real-time history. We're watching real-time history. We're watching our history while we are in it. It's kind of like watching the vortex or the whirlpool in the river from the outside of the river. But at the same time, we're in the river. You see what I mean? But because we're not awakened, or we don't want to be awakened, or we're hypnotized by the whirling whirlpool, we can't see the whirlpool because we're in it. When you're in the whirl, it's like a riptide at the ocean. I mean, you get all caught in a riptide and you think you don't know what's going on. My little watch was working, but it's not. So the point I'm trying to make here is that we are in the place in our history with Trump where some of us, more of us, are standing, getting a view from the outside of the whirlpool. We can see it, and once you get one foot on the riverbank, and you start taking the other, and you get that double, you get the view of the whirlpool as a pattern, while you're still in the whirlpool, feeling, you see. You can feel, when you're in the whirlpool, you can feel it. Like when I spin this, you see, you can feel, this is a heavy little weight here, you see, that's like a lead weight. You can feel it being caught. It can't be, it's both, see, we're both caught, being attracted and repulsed at the same time. So that means we have to keep circle. So, but the spinning of the center keeps the force, the ambiguity of the whirlpool going. A whirlpool, or a vortex, is the balance of two opposing forces, centrifugal and centripetal. One going out, one coming in. If one or the other dominates, you either go, you're gone, or you go into the center. You see what I mean? This is physics. So the whirlpool exists as long as these two forces, centripetal and centrifugal, are in balance. So neither one dominates. Neither one wins, you see. And that maintains this. And the center, like Trump, or any cult leader, any person who is the center of a whirlpool, you see, gets charisma. And that charisma is the result of the giving energy and the receiving energy. So when you get into a cult, or a cult-like system, religion, politics, whatever, when you get into that, you see, as the center has great charisma. And you can feel that because the center is giving energy to the members, you see. So this has just one, but imagine this with juggling, a million little balls. Be like a planet with moons, or a sun with planets, you see. And what keeps the planets in orbit? But that balance between the two forces. So I'm trying to look at this, we're trying to look at the phenomena of Trump right now as we are experiencing it, not morally, good or bad, but as physics, as science, is understanding what makes a system like this work, and how do we know when it's failing, and what happens when it fails. Well, when the system stops spinning, the only thing you can do in the system is to double down on the insanity of it. So we can expect Trump to get more and more insane right now, more and more enraged, more and more in a panic, you see. And all the little balls that are orbiting around Trump are going to be, as the spinning power drops, they're going to be fleeing off. A few will go down with the ship. They will dive in and say, yeah, I'm going down with the ship, you see. And others will break free and spin off. I'm getting off this ship. But we're going to watch now as the vortex begins to spin down, it will get more and more absurd. Insanity and absurdity is about the same thing. It's going to get more and more absurd. More and more insane, you see, as the power begins to dwindle and the death begins to breathe down on everyone in the cult. The irony of a cult system like this, a whirlpool, is, or let's take a river for a minute. Now let's take the river as the river of life, okay? Now a whirlpool in the river diverts the flow of the water into a circle. And the center of the circle is like a black hole. Where's all that stuff going? You see, you look at a whirlpool, and all the flotsam is going into that. Where is it going? Where is it going? It's a black hole. But a cult puts a false idol in the black hole as a person. And Hitler's a good example of that. He says, I am the one Germany, one nation, one voice, one Fuhrer, one. I am the one. Trump said that. I'm the one. I'm your voice. I'm the one, you see. So when anybody takes a stand and says, I am the one, he didn't say follow me. Well, what did he say? Orbit around me. So orbit around me, you see, and you will be attached to the one, and the one is free from death. See, the attraction of the one is that it is deathless. We all want to belong to something bigger than me, because when I belong to something bigger than me, that bigger than me is free from death. I'm the one that's going to die, so I don't want to die. So what do? My little ego, I don't want to die, so what do? I attach myself to something that doesn't die. I attach myself to the deathless, to the timeless, to something that's outside of history, outside of death, you see. So that's the illusion, is that we orbit around something that is stable, that is fixed, you see, and that means it won't die, that it's permanent, permanently satisfying, permanently powerful, permanently strong, you see. It won't die, it won't get old, it won't suffer old age, sickness, and death, you see. Oh, I know, but it's belonging to something greater that will live on beyond me. That's the dream, you see. So it's basically, we join cults out of fear of our own death. And the irony is that there's nothing in the vortex. When you look into a whirlpool, it's empty. The emperor has no clothes. There's nobody there, you see. There's nobody there, But we put a thing there under the belief that that thing will live forever, and so we attach ourselves to it. And so the river of time is diverted into a circle. And that feels like Groundhog Day. That's karma. Time is diverted into a circle that repeats itself over and over and over, saying and doing the same thing, like the end of a Seinfeld skit, where they're all in a little jail cell saying the same script over and over and over and over. Groundhog Day. So I think we're at that moment in our history when we are beginning to see the pattern of the Trump whirlpool and what it looks like and behaves like when it begins to lose its strength. Thanks for dropping in. Hope you have a Zen fit today.